Hi and welcome to a new episode of the Knitting Yak. Today's guest is Sarah Solomon.
Hi.
Hi.
So nice to see you.
Yes, it's kind of odd that we have to see each other this way rather than just come across town and meet at the showroom.
I know, but I feel like I've been seeing you because I watch all your episodes, so I feel like I've seen you a lot, but yes, it's nice.
Before we start the real chat, to see whether you're really, really ready, Sarah, I thought we should play a game.
Okay.
I know you're not ready for this.
At all.
What is your favorite color?
Oh, good gracious. These are hard questions already. I used to think my favorite color was blue. It was blue for a very long time. I actually only wore blue for many years. But these days, it might actually be a natural color like chocolate or
Just
this.
One.
This is actually some of your yak that I've been spinning in the natural desert.
Oh, yes.
And this is really my happy place these days.
Okay, we will talk about that.
Yes, but we'll also talk about, I think, how you have forced me into the land of pretty pink.
Oh, yes, yeah, we can talk about that.
It's inside me, but I think that you brought that out. I don't think it would have come out.
Next question, what is your favorite food?
Ooh, probably pizza.
Pizza.
Mm-hmm. I make my own pizza.
I'm not going to ask you about hobbies. What's your favorite hobbies? Because you have way too many, and we will talk about some of those.
That's true, yes, okay.
What is your favorite place to knit?
Anywhere outside.
Okay.
Yeah, anywhere outside.
Anywhere outside. So what is your favorite fiber to knit with?
Well, it's a tie, Paola. I do, as you know, love the yak, but I also love 100% wool. I love something that came from an animal. So probably those are my two favorites.
Okay, so if you were to choose between Baby Yak and Cashmere, what would you choose?
Personally, I would actually choose Baby Yak.
If you were to choose between Baby Yak and Camel?
Ooh, that's tough. You know I love a camel. But I would still probably choose Baby Yak. I am spoiled because I do get to use Baby Yak a lot, as you know.
So what about between Baby Yak and Silk?
Baby Yak. But if we put Baby Yak and Silk together, I'll use that. And you did.
You did. Baby Yak and Cotton.
I've not
between Baby
that.
Yak and Cotton.
Oh, Baby Yak and Cotton. Absolutely Baby Yak. Are these trick questions?
Baby Yak and Alpaca.
Baby Yak.
All right. God. So you have made it officially in the mYak team.
I am okay.
If you had answered anything else, I would have just stopped the chat.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'm glad I found that.
It was just to trick you a little bit too. I know, but I just did that because you know that you're a true lover of the yak fiber, and this is how we met.
Yes. In fact, I basically was waiting for your company to exist. I knew I loved a yak, but it was very, very hard to find yak fiber and yak yarn. And when I saw your yarn, as you may recall, I think you thought I was a bit odd because I was transfixed and I really just couldn't actually talk or be social at all. I was just basically petting the yarn.
Yes, you were. You are a bit of a stalker. You have a bit of a stalker, I think. But I think that's why I started loving you, because everything about you was, you knew more about yak fiber than what I knew at the time.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I did love
it. And you were asking so many questions as well. And I think we met at Vogue Knitting, the first time.
We met at Vogue Knitting, and it was Michelle Wong and I walked by your booth, and both of us, I mean, we both have similar taste, and we couldn't, and your booth was so special because, and I know you always mention this, there were only the two colors. It was very small. It was very simple. You had beautiful hangings, and it was clear that it was from Tibet. And yeah, everything about that booth was right up my alley, and I went right in. You know, Vogue Knitting, I love Vogue Knitting, but it is, for someone like me, extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And
it's very overwhelming for us too.
Yes. Yes.
But we love it. Yes. Okay. So you start designing, so we met and you start telling me that you wanted to try, and I gave you some yarn to try, and I think I gave you the natural dessert. Sorry, the natural chocolate to start
Yes,
with.
yes.
From that moment, which was just a few years ago, you
Right.
have created a pile of designs with a yarn.
Yes,
And I just could not stop you.
Yes, if you put yak yarn in my house, it will turn into something. That's what I think we started to learn, was that if you would give me yarn, it would eventually come back to you as something knit up.
Yes, something beautiful, I would add. And I think that's one thing about your creativity. I think you keep creating and you cannot stop. And sometimes you take on too much because you have so many ideas.
Yes.
And you just, from one idea, 6 other sparks, and then you keep going.
Yes, that's somewhat true. It's partly the nature of our business, you know, and being a freelancer. It's not, I am very grateful that I do always have ideas, but it's also that, you know, you're working and you have to create many ideas for many people at the same time. So it's both of those things. But I think you're an idea person too. You never have one idea, you have 3.
Yes,
I think.
Yeah. And that's why my team is crazy, because I wake up with too many ideas and then I call them and they say, oh, no, not another one.
Yes,
Please go sleep, rest.
But that's what it takes to be a small business owner, as you know.
Yes.
That's what I love about our relationship, is that we have been doing this kind of in the same timeline. I was just starting. That was my first folk knitting live come present designs, and that was your first folk knitting live to present yarn.
Yeah.
And we've both learned a lot, I think, the last few years.
And I think we've grown together. I think in a way, as you said, we've grown together and we became good friends, which I'm always, I feel really, honored and lucky to have you in the mYak family. So that's why I joked with you at the beginning.
And mYak is a family. Yeah. I love talking to Andrea too. He's so knowledgeable, and your love for what you're doing is so apparent. And that's really important to me with the people I work with.
Always grateful for you guys to watch us. Oh, you have a nice cup too.
I brought this specific out for you, Paola, because it's very floral and very pink.
Look at that!
I put on all my I wore a floral dress, everything. It's all
good. Yeah. So talking about flowers, let's talk about your design first. Let's talk about your design process, because I'm sure that's what a lot of people want to know about. You have a variety of different designs. You have known a lot for your cable work, but you have branched out to flowers and yolks and a lot of other things. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? How you started and...
Yes. So I'll try not to be too long-winded, but I did want to talk a little bit about how I started, because I think it's different from other people, and that is how it affects what I do. And so I only learned to knit as an adult. And I actually, as a kid, I sewed. That's what I loved to do. And there's actually a history of sewing in my family. My great-grandmother actually was a seamstress at Liberty of London. And I never met her, but apparently she was an amazing seamstress. And so that's what I started with. And so I do bring that perspective to knitting. When I first learned to knit, it was actually because I felt like I couldn't do sewing at the level that I wanted to anymore, because I have a very bad back. And it was like debilitating at that point. So I took up knitting, and overnight I fell in love with knitting. Not just fell in love. And I said this once to my aunt. I don't know if my aunt is watching, but if Miriam, if you're there, you will maybe remember this. I said, I am obsessed with knitting. And she said, now, Sarah, do you really mean that? Do you know what the word obsession means? Do you really mean that? And I said, yes, I mean everything that word means. I cannot stop thinking about it. And I would dream about stitches, and I would wake up thinking about stitches the way you think about all kinds of things when you wake up. So I almost as soon as I was learning to knit, I was starting to make things up and starting to design. And so 2 things very interesting to me about learning to knit was that, 1, right away I wanted to be able to explain it to other people. I don't know why, but I did. And 2, I wanted to be able to have control and make my own things. And I guess I had always made my own things in sewing, so maybe that's partly where it came from. But those are the 2 foundations I had. So when you say I design a lot of different things, it's partly because I kind of forced myself to become a designer very early on. It was just so important to me to be able to master it and share it with other people. And I didn't really have that much time where I knit other people's patterns. I've actually only knit a very, very small number of other people's patterns. So the way that I explore all the things I never got to explore, and also in traditional knitting, things I have not knit, is through my own design work. I love other people's work. I love traditional knitting, but I have this need to make things my own. So I try to work those out and explore new things with each design so that I'm challenged, that I'm learning all the time.
That's very interesting. And I know you like to have control of your process, and you're very, you're very meticulous and you have your attention to detail is incredible, both in your patterns, but also in how the process works. And you're so, you're always like very professional in every step of the way. And I think that's, one of the very nice things to be working with you is that you come up with an idea and you're exactly where you're going, and your timeline, your time frame, and everything. So that makes our life very easy as well.
Oh, thank you. And as you know, things move around a lot. It's difficult. But I worked in book publishing actually before I was in this world, and deadlines and having fake deadlines and real deadlines was something that's very comfortable to me. Get things done. So, but attention to detail, I would say, is very, very important to me. And I think it's something that's often hard to tell about my work, because most of the things I find most important about my designs are hidden. They're secret. Yeah. You don't know them till you're wearing it. And I like that. I used to joke that my first collection would be called The Emperor's New Sweaters, because everything about them would be invisible. Nice. But it's hard to sell invisible knits.
Talking about, I think, Northern Europe, is that where your family is coming from?
No. Yes, my mother's family is from Britain, and my mother and my father's family is from Latvia and Poland.
And that has also an influence on your work.
It does. It's almost a form of ancestor worship, I call it. When I'm knitting, the reason I like knitting is because it allows me to go places in my mind. Not always. When knitting is your job, you are doing a lot of thinking about the knitting. But those best times, I think about the people in my family who made things before me. I think about the land. I'm very influenced by landscape and traditions of the places that either places I've been or places that are important to my family. All of those things are important to me. Yes.
And you're becoming a really good and sought after teacher. You're very good at teaching, and everybody loves taking classes with you. I know you teach around both at shows and around the city a lot. How has this situation, the current situation, changed things for you?
Yes, it really has. I used to teach quite a lot, as you know. That's why I'm always busy and not able to do what you need in the right time. I teach at Pearl Soho and Annie and Company regularly here in the city, in New York City. But so the first thing I did when this happened was I did move a lot of my students onto Zoom lessons. And it was actually very nice in the beginning. I had just taught a sweater knitting class, a Learn to Knit Your First Sweater class at Annie and Company. And everyone except one person in that class continued on during the pandemic and finished their sweater. So, nice. Sweater knitting is my favorite kind of knitting, and I'm very invested in getting other people to be comfortable knitting sweaters. So this is obviously a really trying time, but I was really encouraged to see that people took this opportunity to do something that was long form and just embrace the sweater knitting and go for it. I am, as you know, Vogue Live is doing a virtual version of their show this week, and they'll be doing some more. So I'm hopefully on board for that. And many of the retreats I had scheduled, I was supposed to have a very busy teaching spring and summer traveling. Most of those canceled, as most teachers experience. I'm hoping that the ones in the fall will keep happening, but obviously we all have to be safe. So I'm in conversation with those venues now, and we're talking about how to move things online and also how to create the retreat experience, as you know, which is so different from just a regular class virtually. So we're trying to figure out how we can do kind of fun, silly community things online.
We're going to show some of Sarah's design. Of course, we have chosen the design she designed with our yarns. I'm not, it's quite a lot of them.
Enough to from, I think, at this point.
There's so many beautiful things. And we should start with the Bari Tee, because this is what also you have on special until the 18th, correct?
That's right. That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is, I wish I could show it to you in a better way. So
well,
you can see that. I was hoping to wear it, but it's so small. And yes. I've been having so much pasta the last few weeks. I don't fit in it anymore.
I have a similar condition. It is pie in my case. It's been a lot of pie.
Yes, but yeah, I couldn't say pie.
Yeah, but I will say that's where it's one of those things. It's one of those designs that it doesn't really look like much. It's just like a big floppy thing when it's on the hanger, but it comes alive when it's on you. And it's also one of those stitches. In fact, I re-swatched the other day, Paola, actually, just in anticipation of what we're doing. And it's when you knit this at first in this stitch pattern, I have to warn you, if anybody's going to cast this on, it does not look nice. It does not look compelling. It looks kind of like a wrinkly dish rag. I'm not kidding. And then when you block it, that is when the magic happens and this yarn really comes alive. And you get this movement, you get this drape, and it's one of those things you have to do a lot of the pattern before you see it. I'm going to try to wear it so that you can actually see. Yeah, when Paola holds it up, you can see. Yeah. It's one of those things that you need it in repetition and you need it in an expanse to really.
I think you see better with the sleeves. I love the 3/4 sleeves. We were talking about the Bari Tee that you had released originally a while back for a magazine.
Yes, last spring. I think it's just about a year ago.
Spring, yes, I wish people could just feel it because it's so wonderful.
And I know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, you know that I love the Baby Yak, unadulterated, pure essence. But this fabric really is a revelation. I think it is such a good combination because, as you can tell, I had to take my sweater off. I'm very warm. It's very, very warm here in New York today. Yeah. And my skin is very sensitive. And so that's one reason why I love the Baby Yak, is that it is soft as anything. But when you combine it with the silk, it's just the perfect warm weather fabric. I mean, it's really year round, honestly, but it's just like weightless, and it has that kind of cool, dry feeling for summer that I just love. So this idea came from like hanging out like on the beach and near water in which made me think of Bari, but it's like it for putting on in the evening or layering. It just feels great on your skin.
And this is knit in Baby Yak Silk, as we were saying, in the original color that Sarah has chosen. Well, Sarah has chosen it. I think it's more like a little bit of push from my side.
It was a great choice. I think it looked beautiful in the photos.
Yeah. So it's this is Ananda, the pink in Baby Yak Silk.
I just saw a question, Paola. Someone asked is this appropriate for summer because yak is warm? And I've been discussing this with friends in different parts of the country who want to knit the sweater. And it really depends on you personally and what kind of summer you experience. So I am someone who's already wearing sleeves and we're not even sleeveless, and we're not even into 80 degrees yet. So for me, no, I'm not going to put this on till the evening probably. But in New York, we wear sweaters all the time because everything is air conditioned. So you wear sleeveless and then you bring a sweater. So I would have it for that. Yeah. But if you live in California or you live in other parts of the world that are drier, then you could be wearing it all the time. So it's just very dependent on, but it has no itch factor, no prickle, no, even wool, as much as I love wool, if you put wool on when it's too warm, even if you're not sensitive, it will not agree with your skin. And I don't find that to be true with this at all. It's just much more amenable to different climates.
This is why we always say that Sarah is one of the best spoke women for our yarn.
Well, I'm a 5% first, and I have to say I'm also I call it weapons testing. When I take watches out and I wear them and I do things with them. Yes. Because I like to think about that when I'm making it, so I don't have to worry about it when I'm wearing it.
And truth be told, you came to the Baby Yak Silk much later. You only did one design, which is this one, because you've been a pure yak person, only Baby Yak. Then you we did something with the cashmere that we talked about, but only, you know, more recently. And then when you start knitting for this design, you said, I love it, I love it. And I said, okay, here's a bunch of colors. So here's some ideas that we have. And as we always say, remember, you can go on a website, you order the kit, is already there. You can order the yarn that you want, or you can go on a list of retail partners that we have, depending where you live, and try to find a store that is close to you. This way you can also support the store. During last episode, we actually had two stores here in the US, and we will have more store as guests as well, to try to highlight how stores are the backbone of this business as much as designers are. We have something special that we want to talk about for this particular design that we want to do. Yeah. Do you want to talk about it?
You want me to talk? Yes,
yes,
sure.
You speak English. Yeah. I'm social.
Excellent English.
Thank you.
That's actually, I have to say, because I've been watching all of your chats, it's been so wonderful hearing all these people from around the world. And I felt a little bit sad that I didn't have an accent when I was going to be on your chat, because everyone's had these like wonderful international accents. I felt so dull. But so I, as you know, I'm practically evangelical about sweater knitting. I just think everybody will really enjoy knitting sweaters. I know there are lots of kinds of knitting out there, but it's my favorite, and I want other people to not be intimidated by it at the very least. So
I'm intimidated.
You're intimidated, and you're my target audience, Paola.
I'm the guinea pig. I know.
So one of the things that I don't always do this, but I try with a certain number of patterns, is to make them very accessible and very easy. And this is definitely one of those patterns. It's planned as summer knitting, just easy breezy, don't have to think about it. It is knit in pieces and you put it together. But that's not that hard. I know a lot of people are intimidated by that as well. But once you get over that fear, it's actually really freeing. It just opens up a lot more pattern types to you. So what we thought, Paola's having a moment with the sweater, is that we would do a live class about this sweater. And we're planning on June 2nd. Yes, Paola? June 2nd at 5 p.m. And we're going to do it on YouTube. And what we'd like to do is, and I guess we'll talk about how we're going to disseminate this information, Paola.
Yes.
But
yeah, we were talking. Yeah. So best way is to follow us on Instagram and sign up to our newsletters, so that we will spread the word, and then you can we will tell you how to join.
When I teach sweaters, a lot of what I do is, obviously we can't spend a month together. We're going to have a limited time together. But I talk about the things in the pattern that might be problematic to you, and how to break them down and make them simpler and more approachable. How to keep track of things while you're knitting, and also just be a resource to you to answer any questions, because a lot of times the most important thing when you're starting something new is just to ask someone who knows, what about this? What about that? And so I'm very happy to be there and answer those questions for you.
So what will happen, you will have to most possibly buy the yarn. We'd be happy if you buy our yarn, but you don't have to. It's nice to do the Baby Yak, but again, there's nobody's pressuring you to buy our kit. Or you can order through your store. We will tell you, go on the website, you check what is your skein amount that you need, and we will put instructions. We will figure it out and say, okay, you need to cast on. You just need to cast on, and then we will, go live, and bit by bit, with the main thing is not going. As Sarah said, you're not going to be able to knit the full sweater, but you will move on with us. And can I just cut this in pieces and sew it up again?
I'm going to get you. I'm going to convert you. You're going to be a sweater knitter. You're my guinea pig.
Well, I already have the color that I want. Why would I have to knit another one?
I know.
But the size doesn't fit. The size,
I know. It doesn't fit me either, honestly. I need a bigger one.
Well, all right. So we said it, and we are going to post it. This is going to be amazing. This is the first time. First, you get a free class from one of the best teacher that our community has. So, make sure you sign up on a newsletter, Instagram, YouTube. Go to the YouTube, subscribe to mYak Tibetan Fibers. You can also see previous episodes. And we will have fun, because I will go live and I make so many mistakes and ask so many questions that if I can do it, you can do it.
Yes, if you can get a question in between all of Paola's questions, you will win a prize, I think.
Okay, next. So let's talk about sweet Briar
Yolk.
sweater.
And this
How
is
amazing is this?
This is I think this is a symbol of our friendship, Paola, because that sweater is
Look at
it
that.
just
It looks so
came
beautiful.
it came from you. It really was your love of pink flowers that made me do it.
I wanted to wear it, but it was so hot that
I know. Don't put it on.
Just couldn't do it. This is, I'm just going to do. I asked Sarah. So the story started with a hat. So let's start with a hat.
This is an example of how bad I am, I think, though, but that's okay.
So I asked Sarah, who has these beautiful cables and everything else, can you please design something with flowers? So she said, yeah, I could do that. She was not so convinced, but she said, yeah, I love flowers too. I like natures, I like, you know. And then she sent me a sketch and I was just in love. I like 3 minutes and I said, yes, the yarn, what colors? So we sat down, we chose the colors, and the Posey Hat came about. Sorry for the little tag. This is the most amazing hat ever. Do you want to talk about it instead of me blabbing away?
Sure. Well, I do. So inside, I often joke with my mother that inside we're like we call ourselves British housewives. Like we have a love of really big florals, really a lot of florals, like this dress, like a lot of flowers. And but I think I keep a lid on it a lot of the time, and I wear a lot of the same one color. But I think you must have known it was inside me, and
Yeah.
And that hat was actually born one evening. I was supposed to go out to teach a class, a late night class, then there was a snowstorm, and my class got canceled, and I had like 2 extra hours that I wouldn't have had, and I had the yarn. You'd sent it to me, and as I said before, if you send me yarn, it's in my house, it becomes something. So I just felt freed. It was like a really big storm, and I wanted to make something just flowery and springy and the opposite of that, and that's what came out. And I feel like Paola really gave me the freedom to just, I mean, really take the lid off and go crazy with flowers. No, not many other
too, whatever you do is beautiful anyway. So it's this is made, it's called a Posey Hat, Posey. And again, if you go on a website under kits or hats, basically the first 15 pages is all of Sarah's. It's all of Sarah's design. I'm just kidding, but it's a lot. All of our beautiful hats. And this is the Posey Hat. The back, here in the inside has a double,
yes, of course. And the funny thing about that hat too is actually that I think I only finished it. I started it in a March snowstorm and I finished it on the 4th of July and it was 99 degrees. So I was knitting that beautiful flower, absolutely sweating out of my mind.
Wow. It's like amazing. It's really beautiful. So this one is done with the Tibetan Cashmere natural dyes. And so that we sold out with the fingering weight. We sold out of this yarn fairly quickly. We have only 4 kits in the cashmere available in the US only. It's not available in Europe, I'm afraid. They don't have the stock there. So I only have 4 kits left on the website. Nobody else has it, just us. But because we love it so much, we also decided, because we did the sweater with the Tibetan Cloud, which is the wool, we decided to redo this hat in the Tibetan Cloud, in the wool as well. So if you go on our website, you will see how we kit it up, and we put together the same colors. Well, not exactly the same colors, of course.
Almost. It's close.
With clothes, and I think I have the yellow here. And so we put up, the colors of this together. You see, I already cake my one up. And so it will, the good things about the skeins, it looks like a lot of yarn for a hat. Of course, it's 5 skeins, but you can make probably 3 hats out of this. So you can always get them, share them with a friend, saying, hey, do you want to do a Posey hat? Maybe you can do opposite colors or something else. But this is amazing. This is really, really beautiful in the cloud as well.
Yes, I have to say that yarn you know, I watched your episode with Kirsten Kapoor, and I know that she was a motivator for this yarn being, you know, into put into production. I love the Tibetan Cloud, and the cashmere is exceptional. But you might, it's not as big a difference between the cashmere and the cloud as you might think, because that yarn is so soft. The cloud, it's just,
Yeah.
it would make a great hat. Yeah.
And so after she has done the hat, and I said, so what about a sweater with it? I mean, you know, everybody loved the hat. It's just a hat. So everybody was, you know, looking for sweater quantities and sweater. And then she said, yeah, I could do that. So that's how this came about.
But then it's hard for me to do the same thing twice is what happened.
Yes. So
Always think I could,
you know, I can show it as closer to the camera.
yes. And of course you can do your own colors. I had to do it in pink for Paola because that was my homage. But I actually, I'm dreaming of like blue or blue and orange or different combinations.
So, but this is amazing. This is the sweet Briar, and as Sarah was saying, it's not itchy at all because it's really the heart of the wool. So it's really, you know, it's really nice, and it's a nice yoke. And the details. Sorry, I should show you the details. As Sarah was saying, you know, everything is in the details. And when with one of Sarah's design, you can be sure that you get the best details. So this is just a little, look at that, the little cutie on the sleeves.
It's the full floral.
The full floral. And right. Then I said, you remember, say, can we have something at the bottom too? Mm-hmm. So look at that. I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Thank you. And so once again, you forced it out of me, all the flowers.
Yes. And talking about sweater, I think you're releasing soon a new design, or you're going to do a test knit for a new design, right?
Yes, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. This is also in the cloud. So I fell in love with the cloud during that project. And this sweater was actually something I started just for myself. My birthday was actually the first week of quarantine here. It was not a great week. And what makes me feel better is knitting, and especially sweater knitting. So I cast on something that had been in my head for a very long time, and I finally found the right yarn for it, and it happened to be Paola's yarn. But then, you know, once you start posting pictures about it, people want it. So I think it's going to become a real pattern. I'll give you a little preview here, but I'll put half put it on, but it's the cloud, it's cardigan.
That's the wild daisy, yeah. That's sorry, you know,
that's the wild daisy, yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually looks like a lot of cables, and it is a lot of cables, but they're not very difficult cables. They're very repetitive, and which is my favorite kind. I like things that look like you worked hard, but you really didn't work that hard. So yes, I'm hoping to get this into test knitting and get that pattern out eventually. But I love this yarn. I had experienced it in just color work, which I loved, and then I had to try it in cables. And these are very unusual cables because they're lace cables. I don't know if you can see that. I've been posting some pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, yes.
But there are holes in it.
Yeah.
And this yarn, because of the very specific twist that it has, is kind of an open twist. It's a 2-ply yarn. It allows those holes to open up beautifully. It's just a perfect fit for this design.
What about this one?
More pink. We do like other colors, but yes, this one I made on.
Something.
I remember. Yes. This was the first thing I did in the cashmere.
Yeah.
And it was
so this is yeah. Sorry,
Lilia.
This is called Lilia hat, also in the cashmere. It's amazing, and has the natural dyes as well. I think again 3 or 4 kits available. We sold out. We designed this for Vogue Knitting 2018.
That's right.
And we thought that, you know, it was like, oh, it's cashmere. Probably people will, you know, will they love a hat like that? And do you remember I had to call you to come and help us with selling more and get more yarn, because we were selling out so fast, because it's an amazing, beautiful design. Doesn't matter what color you choose, you know, you can just go and get a fingering weight yarn, possibly our cashmere if you want to, but any other colors that we have on the website, or any fingering yarn, just get a patterns first, and then you think about it.
Well, I have to interject though, Paola, because, you know, it's very it's very special to be doing something like this and have someone who supports your work and says such nice things about your design. It really means a lot. But the reason I design so often for your yarn is a very selfish one, which is that I absolutely love it. And I do have to put in a little plug for the cashmere because, admittedly, I was not a big cashmere fan when I started working with you. I'm very careful about what I use and where it comes from. And I also, if I'm going to put in time knitting, I want something that's going to last. And a lot of cashmere, frankly, does not wear very well. This cashmere is exceptional. There's really nothing else like it, and it's unpillable cashmere. That's what I find
Oh
amazing
yeah.
about it.
I mean, if you
It's
look
that
at
hat
it,
has been through so many shows.
yeah.
People try it, people rip it off, and honestly, that's partly why I love these yarns. Is because, like I said before, I'm very careful to make something, and after that, I don't want to be careful anymore. I want to
Yeah.
just be able to wear my clothes, and these yarns really hold up, and are
Oh,
incredibly soft.
thank you. But
You're
again,
welcome.
you know, because we have a limited amount of this cashmere, and we are coming out with a new line of cashmere, but we're not doing a fingering weight. We'll do a lace weight and a worsted weight. So if you don't wait, because we know that when, you know, knitters, you guys, you see something, you want it now. So if you want to see something, go on a website and get it now. 4 kits left, or you can do it. Again, I'm just picking colors at random in my box, okay? I just pick 3 colors. I just pick 3 colors at random in my box, and you can just knit this in those 3 colors. 1 skein each. You change the main color, and you can knit 3 hats with, yeah, 3 hats at least, I think. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's the pink again.
With the cloud, yeah. I'd like to try one in the cloud because I
Yeah.
think that would be great
Yeah.
winter fabric. Yeah, that's beautiful, Paola. It has some pink in it. I see.
Or this, you know, it could also be.
Show the blues, for God's sake.
Oh, come on, I could do that. It's coming up. The blue is coming up next. It's, look at that. I'm literally picking 3 colors at random, okay? Literally at random.
Oh, I like that.
Like that, at random. I think that's the beauty of our palette. You can really literally pick 3 colors at random. And I'm, you know, even that I'm not looking. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Well,
Okay.
and I have to say that was part of, I am a little bit color challenged. Like, it's always very interesting seeing Kirsten's work for this reason. I think Kirsten is like a absolute color maven. She comes up with the best combinations.
Yeah.
I'm always inspired by that. I feel so every color so intensely that it's often very hard for me to put colors together. So what I wanted to do with that hat was make something that was for people like me who are challenged sometimes, because the way the motifs are set up, it's actually very hard to go wrong. You can kind of put almost anything, any 2 things next to each other, and it will work. So keep that in mind. You can feel free with it.
Sorry, somebody's asking, is it pink and a pale red in the hat? Sorry, this is actually pink and our terracotta. So it's like a rust color.
Yeah, it's an unusual.
You know, yeah, pink and red would also go, you know, I like pink and red. I like pink and orange. And I like pink and anything really. But maybe something else too. I will try. But even if with the green.
You look at the projects on Ravelry. Some people did natural colored ones.
Yes.
Blacks and grays. You can get some inspiration there.
Yes. With the black and gray, or just, you know, like a pop of color. And that was the Lilia hat, Lilia hat. And talking about not pink.
That's right. I did something not pink. Yes, this is Maratha.
This is Maratha. You want to talk about this one?
Yes, this is when you went to Edinburgh Yarn Festival for the first time. And those were 2 of your cashmere natural dyed colors. That's indigo, and I forget what the green is actually.
Sage.
Sage.
Doesn't look like sage. Yeah.
And so, because part of my family is from Britain and part of it is from Latvia, I had this idea to mix up 2 traditional things. So the blue and the green is actually from what we think might be our family's Clan Graham. That's their colors of their tartan. And the Maratha is a Latvian name. It's just the name of someone that we happen to know. But the motifs are all from Latvian mittens, which are something that I adore. But it's, again, I have not actually knit a pair of Latvian mittens. It's on my list. And I have so many books. I'm sitting next to many books of Latvian mittens as we talk right now.
It's a pair of mitts. I just made them.
Yeah, exactly.
While we were talking.
Although they would be knit about like twice the density of stitches. That's the other thing about Latvian mittens. They're really tiny.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was again, it was a way for me to take a trip to traditional knitting land but making something new.
And again, this unfortunately we run out of the denim, I think. So we can always get another color. But we tried again. We also tried in the. Sorry.
Well,
we tried
and
in.
We should say, we all know everyone's home and has stash too. So get something new, add something old, be creative with it.
Yes, and mix yarn. I love mixing. Yes, I love mixing yarn. Whatever you have in your stash is work. Again, we just give you advice, and it's always my pick, my choices, and of course, I tend to I have to talk about mYak. It is a mYak channel afterwards. After all, but any fingering weight for all of this would just work. Or you mix them up. You can just get one skein of this, one skein of that. Just play around, because these are really good stash buster as well. Especially if you do the yoke.
I think you could mix the cashmere, what you have left, if you want, with Tibetan Cloud. I think that would work.
Yes, you can. Yeah. Yes, yeah. You can definitely have that.
Age is similar. Yeah.
Where's mine? But this is again. I mean, going back with the blue. Is not as strong, but this would be a very nice. With a dark blue. This is a blue. I know the light. Let's see on this side. Maybe it's better. This is a very beautiful blue and the natural, or you can just add the other green as well. But any color combination would work. Would you remember the first design that you knit with
Bonner?
There you go. You win a skein of Baby Yak. This is the original hat. I have it in two sizes. So Sarah was saying how much she loves the natural colors, and besides the natural chocolate that somehow I don't have here, this is the other natural color, the desert, and together with the oatmeal is the second and third natural colors that we have. You speak, because I'll probably have to speak after you disappear again. So
okay. Yes. I don't know. There's something magical about that color to me. I do love, because all of your colors are dyed over unbleached fiber. They really all feel wonderful, but there's something special to me about the natural. Shows the cables really well.
Yeah. And you need this with 2 skeins of the Baby Yak, but because Sarah doesn't stop, and she said, "Oh, what about mitts? Do I have these water mitts?" No. So she came and also made these beautiful mitts. And the beauty of these mitts is that if without the cuff, without the reversible cuffs, is that what you call it? This, yeah. You can just knit them with 1 skein. So
that's right. There's 2 versions in the pattern: a short version and a longer version.
This is the long version. Sorry for the tag. So this is the long version, and the short version is basically exactly the same, just a little bit shorter. So it's just like that. It has a smaller cuff, basically. Yeah.
So I was raised by a no waste knitter, and I'm in a no waste household. So it's a really big part of designing for me, is figuring out exactly what you could get out of a skein, and trying to be conscious of that, of what you can get. So I tried very hard to make one that was out of 1 skein, and we did it.
Yeah. And so Sarah did it with the desert, and I have, besides pink, I like yellows a lot. And we had just come out with a new color, and I know that somebody's waiting for that. She saw the mustard. So we made a version with the mustard. So it's the same hat, but a smaller version, because this was very large. So we made a smaller version with the mustard. And this started the mustard frenziness.
It did.
It was like crazy. We had a few skeins, we sold out. Of course, season by season, the color changes simply because we dyed, as Sarah was saying, we dye on the natural color. So if the base of the desert, so I show you, if the base of the desert is darker, then automatically the colors that we do becomes darker. So this is 2 versions of the desert. They look almost the same on on the screen, but I swear that this is much darker.
It
So
is darker,
whatever
yeah.
color that comes on, can you try it on the master hat? I don't really have a hat, sorry, a head, but I'll do that for you guys.
Paul,
With the tag.
to take one for the team. I don't have a hat head either. Oh, that looks good actually.
It does. So with the tags.
I think both of us have rather small heads, so we
This
need.
is I really like it because it was, you know, I didn't like the I like the slouchiness, but I really like this one because it was really, really cute.
Close, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was saying, anyway, so depends on whatever season it is, you know, you get a different color. So not always our dye lot are the same. Some people complain, some people understand is life. That's my yak. And talking about mustard.
They're always beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, some people like it. When we started with the oatmeal, we got a darker oatmeal, and people complain now they want the darker and they don't want the lighter, you know. But we do what we can. So after Bonner Hat, we did another collaboration, and we selected a few designers to do a collaboration with us. And Sarah, instead of doing one design, I think she made like, I don't know, 6 or something, 4.
No, like 3, I think.
It's okay, I always double things. 3.
I don't know why I did that.
I don't know, because I love you. And so she designed the Beckett hat, and with the pom-pom as well. So that's 2 skein, including the pom-pom. And as you say, I'll do it for the team.
Do it for the team. No, the mustard really suits you. I think you're...
Yeah, I love the mustard. I really love it. I don't know, can you see it?
Yeah. And of course you don't need to do a pom-pom. If you're like me and you're concerned about yarn usage.
Yeah, if you don't want a pom-pom, you don't have to pom-pom.
Yeah. And there's a couple of sizes on that pattern too. So there's...
And that's yeah. So you can do it with or without, more or less slouchy. And this is, again, is a 2 skein project. Does the fur of a yak remain the same color from season to season, year to year? No, it doesn't. That's why the color changes. Everything has to do with environment. Sometimes it's what they eat, and sometimes it's just the weather, the temperature, and so it changes. Some years is lighter, some years is darker, and it's easier when we do the darker with the chocolate because, you know, with the amount that we get is more or less the same. But for the lighter color, it's very different. Sometimes it's gray, sometimes it's light gray, sometimes it's white. And, you know, that's the nature of working with natural fiber. That's the beauty. You know, that's what you say is the beauty of being a yak.
Yeah. You know, for me, I was thinking about preparing for this chat, and I was thinking about, you know, what it is, for me, it's very important. I love animals, but I grew up very, very allergic to a lot of animals, and my family is very allergic, so we couldn't have any pets. And I just dreamed about them and like wanted to touch them and watched nature shows about them, and getting to actually like touch fluff for a living now is my favorite thing.
Definitely.
But I think it's very important to love yarns that show that it came from an animal, and I think that's what's so special about your yarn, is that it's so connected to the way of life in which the animal was raised, all of that. And so, you know, hand dye yarn, you're accepting the same thing. It's just a different, but things change. They're not the same all the time, and it's unique.
Just to show you again, you see there is a subtleness, but this is the previous season, and this is this season. I asked Sarah whether she could design something with lotus flower, and you love flower. You love lotuses as well, yeah?
I do, and it's also for me that there's a song, Die Lotusblume. It's a song by Robert Schumann. So that's where it partly came from.
So that is the hat that she designed.
Yes, this was for the pop collection.
Yes, we did a pop collection with our pop cashmere. The pop cashmere colors. This is and each of the is a mix of baby yak and cashmere. So you see the black baby yak, the mustard, and mumen metok, which is pink flower in Tibetan. It's a hot pink, which is really, really nice. And again, the pattern is on Ravelry. I don't think we have kits for this on the website, but you can always get, it's a fingering weight. No, this is a medium weight.
Medium weight. What Paola's not telling you is that this collection almost gave me a nervous breakdown, because hot pink is not my expressive color. It was very hard for me. Also, I wanted to do something that really was related to Tibet, which is why I looked at lots of motifs. I looked at Tibetan costume.
Yeah.
But it was a really good challenge for me though. But you pushed me on that one. I was having a hard time.
Yeah. Well,
but I think
for a lot of people that know me, I lived in China and Tibet basically half of my life, and I'm very connected to Tibetan culture, and Buddhism is a very important philosophy for me. I am not Buddhist per se, because I think you would need to study a lifetime to really become a true Buddhist. But I follow a lot of the teaching and philosophy behind it. So just to answer the question. So this is the lotus bloom, which is an odd shape. Yeah, it's a really...
It's a square hat. Yes, I was looking at a lot of traditional dress, and yeah, it's a strange... I wanted to do something that wasn't American.
It is so beautiful. It just fits. It stays on your head. This is, compared to what I had, this is what I love. I just love this. I just love this. And because, again, because Sarah does not stop at one thing, she had to design the cowl to go with it.
That's right.
You see, you almost forgot. You forgot how many things. I had a pie. I had to carry all of these samples from the showroom, and my husband said, "Why are you carrying all those stuff back home?" I said, "No, this is just Sarah's."
You should know by now.
Yeah, but look at, so this is the cowl as well, and this is another. It's a great stash buster, I think. With any colors that you want. We've done it with the blues, and we had a couple of samples. You can make it bigger, you can make it shorter. It's beautiful. If you just go on Ravelry and check all of Sarah's design, and she has, so many amazing ones. But this is a nice pair, nice kit to have, to play around with it. And in the same collection, and I think I'm coming to my last one actually, is the other one that is the little castle hat.
Yes, another crazy hat.
This pink is everywhere. I think you should really stop designing with pink.
I know. I look like a one-trick pony here.
This is a magical hat. It's truly a magical hat.
It is. It's the warmest hat. It is so. I happen to love that hat, and also, you do get noticed in that hat, obviously. And I don't wear a lot of things that get you noticed, so I actually kind of like it. I've gotten a lot of compliments from unusual people in Newark on that hat.
Yeah.
It doesn't really look like anything else. So
you know what I'm waiting for you to wear the rest of the hats, because you will have to wear the others.
I will do that for you. But I often feel when I go to your showroom, I look at these things that I've made, and they don't even seem like they came from me, because I think you have pushed me to try all these things, and I appreciate that. I think I struggle with it when I'm doing it, but looking back on what we've come up with together, you just have you have your own sensibility, and then the yarn has its own, what it needs to be expressed. So yeah, it's been a very interesting process. And let me just to answer their question. It is just Fair Isle stranded knitting, not mosaic, not brioche, just regular stranded knitting. So if you know, yes, and also someone's asking a question. You could deal with mosaic, but maybe you can't deal with Fair Isle. You can actually always knit a Fair Isle motif by slipping stitches. There is a way to do that, and there are videos you can look up about that. Maybe it's something we'll do in the future, but you can always just knit one color at a time on one round, slip the stitches you don't need to work, and do them on the next round. So just so you know. A couple more hats, right? Yeah. So
don't rush.
This is the rush. Okay, this is Tramontana, which I will put on. So this, I used to joke that, once you've been knitting for a while, you just start to make stranger and stranger hats. That has definitely happened to me. This hat is a bit of a piece of architecture, but it's my favorite hat. I wear it all the time. Can you see that?
Yeah, I typed the name in the middle.
Yes, Tramontana. Do you want me to type it?
No, I do it. Okay. You talk.
So Tramontana is the name of the wind in Italy. There's a wind that comes down from the Alps. I think I'm correct.
Yes,
Paola?
Correct.
And I lived in Florence during university, which is not a particularly cold climate, but in the winter, sometimes this wind would come down from out of nowhere and practically knock you off your feet. And I used to feel like I was in a Charlie Chaplin film and I was getting knocked over by the wind. And for years since that time, and it's a long time ago now, I have dreamed of a hat that would protect me from this wind. And this is the hat. And the reason why it's so protective is that it's Baby Yak. It is cables, and it has this double brim. So the brim folds up. It's basically windproof.
Yeah.
And we get some very cold days. It's not Tibet, it's not the Tibetan Plateau, but in New York, when you're waiting for a bus on Madison Avenue, let me tell you, it is quite chilly. And everyone at the bus stop always wants this hat. That's all I know.
Right,
so I love
it. It's not a strong wind that we have here. We don't have it in Tibet, or they don't have it in Tibet. So
no,
it's I would probably, you know, and I did wear it. I mean, you know, that one we did it in the Tibetan sky, I think, one version, and it's so warm. It's done with 3 skeins, yeah.
So warm.
Yeah.
3 skeins, yes.
Yeah.
And there's something, I mean, about it. It just sort of looks like a mountain to me. It's like mountainous and craggy, and I don't know. So I happen to love that one. My other. So this is the period, I think, on my design with Paola where I just started to indulge myself, and she let me just go with the yarn, not knowing what I was going to do. And another such experiment was this, which is called portcullis.
Oh yeah, the one I cannot pronounce, but I know how to spell it.
Right. Portcullis is the gate in front of a castle. It's like a gridded gate, and this, I call it my Dr. Zhivago hat. It's huge. It's a really big, puffy hat. It's windproof, and it has a full lining inside, and there's a very clever technique in the pattern that helps you pick up the perfect lining, and there's also this extra brim in the front, so it's 3 layers of yak.
Wow.
So this one was 2.
This is a triple yak.
It's full yak, and but it doesn't weigh anything. So it doesn't feel like you're wearing anything, which I think is the hard part of winter. You're always so bundled up. And so I think that's partly why I love the yak. But I made it in 3 sizes in a way, because that first one is so gigantic. I think it's like a style of it all. It's not even to do with your head size. It's just a style.
You have so many other hobbies. We started with you showing the spinning. How did you get into spinning later? You started. What about the spinning?
Yes, but after I learned to knit, coming from sewing, I vowed I would never do anything slower than that. And then I learned to spin. It's really Michelle Wong's fault. She's the one she taught me. And I really fell in love with that. But it's been slow because I don't have a lot of time. And then recently a friend, I think last year, a very good friend introduced me to supported spindling, which is the kind of spindling you often see in Tibet. In fact, I like a Tibetan style spindle. So that's what I was showing earlier. And that's what you would use to spin yak, really, because yak is so short. This is a Tibetan, this is actually a Russian style spindle, but it's a supported spindle, which means that it rests. I don't think you can see that. It rests on something and supports the weight of the fiber as you move. So I've gotten very, very much into hand spinning, and I've been practicing. I have a wheel as well. I don't know if you can see one of my wheels behind me there. Let's see.
The wheel behind, yes. So that you know, we have 1 minute remaining.
Oh, okay. So I'll just be quick. So there's, yes, I like to spin. I'm actually, this dress, I like to sew. So this is a dress that I made. And I think you said I should show my embroidery. So I've been embroidering. Beautiful. In a big pink flower. And
I have one here as well, which is really good for today's. I just finished mine.
Oh, that's beautiful. You're really good at them. No, that's something
I think I need it today with this chat. I've been very zen. That's okay, don't worry about it. It just so happened that this was the one I wanted to show today. So
you do need it. I appreciate your patience. Yes, and before I did any of these things, I was a really avid baker, and I have to say that has come back during quarantine times. Hence my reference to eating a lot of pies.
Yeah.
And it's good when you make your own clothes, you can adjust for the number of pies you're eating, which I've certainly been doing.
It's been a wonderful chat, and we will do it again. So stay tuned, because we will announce the YouTube lessons that we have. Make sure you get on both of our Instagrams. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody, for your patience and for being with us. And have a wonderful afternoon.
Yes, happy knitting, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so very much for watching us. See you at the next episode.